Basically, collecting manga is so much fun. There are so many different stories and series and things to consume. However, sometimes collecting manga is legitimately the bane of my existence. Hey guys, what is up? It's Manga here and welcome back to the YouTube channel. So today's video might be controversial, so put on your "it's my perspective" lens because that's what we're gonna be talking about today. Today, I am going to be talking about the worst physical manga releases. Now in today's video, the video isn't surrounding the series content. It's not talking about the story. It's not talking about the plot, the characters. It's not talking about the actual content. It's talking about the physical release as a whole. How does it feel? How does it look? How is it produced? That's what we're gonna be talking about today. So when thinking about this topic, 4 different categories came to my mind, but I also asked you guys on my Instagram at Manga. Go follow me to be included in future videos. I asked you guys to tell me some of your biggest problems with physical manga collecting. And at the end of today's video, I'm going to be touching on some of the things that you guys said because you guys, honestly, we think the same. So without further ado, let's get into the first category, which is series inconsistency. So what does this mean? What am I talking about? So there are actually a couple, I guess, sub-points into this overarching umbrella term. So when I say inconsistencies, it's just things are different. So the first thing that comes to mind is the Shonen Jump logo changing. Now, the Shonen Jump logo on the spine of series used to be a circle with the SJ in the middle of it, but recently, over the past couple years, Viz has been transitioning into just the Shonen Jump letters, I guess. Now, the problem with that, honestly, it's not, for me personally, it's not a big deal. Honestly, there are several series. I'm looking at my One Punch Man volumes right now where I have some of the SJs and then some of the circle ones. To me, it's not that big of a deal, but it creates inconsistency in the series. If you are a collector, a lot of serious collectors really want that consistency, that feel-good, looking good type vibe. And when you switch spines up like that, it just doesn't have that anymore. Now, another inconsistency that I think a lot of us unfortunately have to experience is height inconsistency. This, honestly, this one is what probably bothers me out of this entire list, one of the things that bothers me the most, because it is so jarring when you look at your shelf and you just see like stairs on a series. It's like I'm looking at Sweat and Soap right now, and they are not all the same height. There are some volumes that are shorter than others and some volumes that are taller than others. And again, as a serious collector, as a collector in general, having inconsistencies like that absolutely infuriate me because, again, I am very much someone who loves a nice, clean, cohesive look, feel. My shelves, how I set them up, where I place my books is all very intentional, and I'm sure that's the same for a lot of you guys as well. So when I look at my shelf and I'm looking at a series like Sweat and Soap that I absolutely love, and I just see literal stairs on the top of the series, I'm like, what are we doing? Now, another inconsistency that some of you might not agree with, this is something that I feel very passionately about and I've talked about a lot previously, Italian prints. Let's talk about what Italian prints are, because I feel like for a while when it was kind of just becoming a thing and people were aware of it, it was thrown out. Some people might not know what that means. So what is Italian prints? So this is specifically talking about Viz and their physical releases. So Viz typically, in the past, historically, has printed and produced their manga in the United States and in Canada. That's what we're typically used to, that's the feel and the look that we're typically used to. But as of late, Viz has started printing some of their titles in Italy. Now, why is that a problem? To me, it's a problem because you can so clearly tell when a volume is an Italian print versus a US and Canadian print. But the reason why it's an issue to me is because when I look at my shelf and when I pick up a volume and when I see that it's an Italian print, the volumes are typically much thinner than a US or Canadian print. And again, it's creating that inconsistent look. I want all of my volumes to be the same, and that might just be me wishful thinking. I know that things happen, but when you have like really like good, thick, whatever volumes, and you just have like a little one, my mind will just literally go straight to that volume and just can't look away from it. It creates an inconsistent feel. Okay, so that was the first category, and obviously one that I feel really passionate about. The next category is size. Bigger does not equal better. Let's talk about it. A lot of companies, I feel like they get their license renewed for certain series, or they have a really old series that, you know, they're gonna bring back. They're gonna bring it back out in the market and it's gonna be an exciting release. However, they slap 3-4 volumes into one unreadable omni. An example of this is Dororo. So Dororo is my favorite anime of all time and I really wanted the manga, but there was no way I was about to buy a frickin' brick. That volume is huge. It is completely unrealistic to try and read, especially as a serious collector who likes to keep their manga and their things nice. I knew if I tried to read that, the spine would just crack. She would be gone and it would be completely ruined. Now let's talk about the intricacies of a book. When you have a bigger spine, or when you have more pages within a book, or it's just a bigger book in general, the binding needs to be stronger. The binding needs to be able to withstand opening it successfully and containing all of the pages in the series. A lot of the times I have found the bigger the omnibus, the weaker the spine quality is, causing issues and potentially, again, breakage of the spine, breakage of the volume, and just not doing good overall. Publishers also aren't necessarily willing to invest more quality and more money into, if you have a freaking huge book, make it actually strong and last. That really just grinds my gears, and honestly, that's why I go the singles route for a lot of series. If there's an omnibus versus singles route, almost 100% of the time I will go singles because I just do not trust the omnibuses. Okay, so the next one is none other than printing issues. This is one that I've been seeing a little bit more of now that manga is becoming much more popular and companies are just literally having to pump series out to keep up with demand. Now, the biggest thing that comes to mind under the printing issue section of this is ink fading, ink gloss. You know, there has been several volumes that I have read that literally I cannot read what's going on because the pages are so faded from the lack of ink. Series such as Nana, Alice in Borderland, I literally asked again on my Instagram, hey, how many of you guys have experienced fading issues with Alice in Borderland? And a lot of you guys actually agreed with me and said that they have experienced fading in their series. If I am trying to read a book with pictures, and just a book in general, shouldn't ink be one of the most important things that you focus on? I shouldn't have to try to decipher and interpret what you're trying to say or what the story is because the ink is so incredibly faded. This is one of the biggest things that really just grinds my gears because I am buying this book to consume the content and I can't consume the content. Okay, so the next printing issue that I experience, that a lot of us experience, a lot of these topics are kind of fluid within each other. Let's talk about misaligned spines. Holy crap. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they see misaligned spines. I'm assuming there's some sort of quality control, which I'll talk about in the next section. But whatever the quality control is, it's not good enough because, again, there has been several times where I have been in store looking to buy a volume of manga. A lot of them happen to be newer releases, like, oh, hey, I need, you know, volume X of volume X series just came out. I'm really excited. Let's go get it. I go to the store and it's completely misaligned. Completely misaligned. And again, if I am paying close to full retail for a volume, why would I get one that looks like that? One, it shouldn't just plainly, it shouldn't be like that. And two, again, it ruins the consistent look that I'm trying to achieve with my shelves. I don't want it to be a series and like, oh, some of the cover's bleeding onto the spine and then the rest. I don't want that. There's been several times where I have had to return volumes and in hopes get a replacement and in hopes that volume comes back better printed and the spine is fine. But it is just so infuriating to see just the difference and just to see the cover on your spine. You shouldn't have to do that. Okay, so the next and last category before I go into what you guys said, let's talk about quality control and the lack thereof, it seems like. This, again, is kind of bleeding into other things I talked about. Have you guys ever gone into Barnes & Noble and there is just that one series that no matter how many times and how many volumes come out, it is always just busted? You go literally into Barnes & Noble, a brand new, you're looking at this volume, brand new, and there's chips on the corner, it's folded, the paper's out of whack. Honestly, for this point in particular, Kodansha, I am looking at you. I feel like a lot of Kodansha releases are just absolutely horrendous with their quality control. Absolutely horrendous. Some volumes and series that come to mind is The Witch and the Beast. I remember collecting that one and actually struggling to collect it because I could not find good quality volumes to save my little life. There just seems to be, in general, a lack of quality control. Like, again, I get it, there's high demand. I get it, you need to pump out stuff, completely understandable, but people aren't going to buy your product if it's banged up, if it's jacked up, especially if you're wanting to sell it for retail. It's so frustrating, and it, again, has prevented me from trying and buying a lot of different series. Kodansha, you specifically with this one, I'm looking at you. Step up your game because I should not be walking into stores and buying off of Amazon and your volumes being busted. So those were all of the ones that came to my head immediately. All of the ones that I thought to myself, wow, I really cannot stand sometimes collecting manga. So now, in this fifth part, I am going to be touching on some of the things that you guys think make terrible physical manga releases. So I have all of your stuff on my phone and we're just gonna go through, find some gems, and let's talk about them. So I'm not gonna go into all of them because some of them I did touch on in the 4 that I talked about. So do just be aware if yours isn't in here, it is because of that, or it's just kind of not what I'm looking for today's video. Regardless though, thank you for your help, I really appreciate it. So the first one is by Prof Otaku. Hello my guy, how are we doing? And he said, delaying the release, the physical release date multiple times. Do better, I'm looking at you, Denpa. This is so true. Denpa, if you didn't know, is a very, 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 very small manga publishing company. Literally, I've talked with them before and there is like a handful, if that, people on their team. It is incredibly small. And they are printing a lot of titles that people are really excited about. One of them being, more recently, March Comes In Like a Lion, I believe that's what it's called. People have been wanting that series for such a long time, and they have been delaying that series for so incredibly long. People are gonna get frustrated and not wanna buy from you or buy the series in general because 1, is it ever going to come out? And 2, they just don't know what to anticipate. They don't know when it's actually going to come out. I completely get it, delaying the release date, that's not good. Publishers, Denpa specifically, get an accurate date. I know things happen, but if you need to account for some wiggle room, just put that in the date. So another one that I totally did not think of, but is totally true, is when the paper quality isn't the same as the previous volume, specifically Tokyo Revengers. Thank you, Matthew Newberry, for bringing that up because it is so incredibly true. If you guys didn't know or aren't collecting Tokyo Revengers, there has been a lot of quality issues with that series. Some of the volumes are incredibly thin with like high quality paper, and then the next volume will be much bigger with a lower grade paper. So that makes a volume super thin, super chunky, super thin, super chunky, and the sizing inconsistency is there. Again, it's kind of like the Italian print sort of deal, but I don't think they're actually printed in Italy. Regardless though, that is absolutely infuriating. Now, Tokyo Revengers, to me, I liked it up until like a certain chapter and I just decided not to collect it because I was really frustrated. But if I was collecting Tokyo Revengers, I too would be very upset. That is a very good one. So another one by Jamie619916. Thank you, Jamie619916. They said spacious volume releases. If I have to wait a year for the next volume, then it puts me off. So true. Like, if the release date from one volume to the next is like 40 years, I just honestly, it goes in the back of my mind. A series like this for me when I was collecting it is Vinland Saga. I still have it, I'm waiting for the deluxes. But I remember there being like literally like years between a volume, and I'm like, I just want to read the rest now. And I'm gonna forget about it because it's been so long since I've picked up and read the last volume. So there is something really nice about having series consistently come out at like an every month basis. It's really nice because I know to look out for that volume and I don't forget about it. So I completely agree with you. Another one that kind of goes into it is the Prom G said spine art being bad. So true. If the spines are gross, I'm not buying it. Okay, so after looking through all of the things that you guys have told me at this point in time, at this point of filming, if you didn't get yours in soon enough, I am so sorry. Thank you for putting them in anyways. Those are all the ones that kind of stuck out to me / I didn't really articulate in my past 4 points. So guys, honestly, all in all, manga collecting has its pros and cons, like any hobby, like anything just in general. Would I change it for the world? Absolutely not. There are just a few things that us as collectors unfortunately have to navigate. So guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys letting me rant a little bit. I would love to know, did I miss anything in today's video? Is there something that you would have included? Please let me know in the comments down below. But guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.